someone is free.
Free from 2 weeks of isolation.
And I can see he was totally asymptomatic. As you can see, the appetite was never affected.
Nope.
It's just that I had to be the one to bring him his food, like bringing food to a caged tiger.
Yeah, I was eating 5 times a day.
So now, truth be known, Richard was exposed to a friend,
Someone who tested positive.
right, who tested positive, and he was negative at that time. They were supposed to go to the beach, so they all tested, and he tested negative with some friends.
Yeah.
Later, his friend tested positive, so he was nice enough to say, look, if I was exposed, I'm going to quarantine myself. And so, even without any symptoms, he quarantined up in that room.
Yeah.
Where's that room?
Right there.
Up there. For how long?
2 weeks now, yeah? 2 weeks.
2 weeks. And then he was totally asymptomatic. However, when after about, 5 days? Asymptomatic.
Yeah, I tested 5 days after. That was a
Yeah, because I
Sunday.
was saying, look, if you're asymptomatic, get tested so that you're not, you're not Rapunzel there.
Yeah.
Get tested. And guess what?
I was positive. We were so confident that I was negative because I was feeling nothing. So,
Right. So so it was good that he volunteered to quarantine. And then we were just very careful around him. And in the meantime, myself and his mom and sisters went to get boosted. So we had our third Moderna shot, and he wasn't able to go with us because he was quarantining, and I think that helped a lot because a week later,
what happened a week later?
the girls tested positive. I mean, they were starting to feel a little. I mean, they were already a bit sick when they got the Moderna from the side effects, but about a few days later, they were starting to exhibit symptoms like scratchy throat and all of that, and got feverish, and couldn't tell whether it was from the Moderna or it was actually Omicron. So I told them, that's why we have antigen tests at home. Get tested, and
They turned out positive as well.
that was so including our helper Lisa, right, who does everything, including cleaning Richard's, food and all of that, right? So that's probably. And then the girls were living upstairs where Richard's quarantined. So even though if they weren't seeing him, I guess this thing is very catching.
It's airborne. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ako na lang ang matirang matibay. I think it helped a lot that aside from I had vitamin C infusion, which I do every month, and then I got boosted, and I really pumped myself with zinc, and
Vitamin C.
I sun myself a lot, right, son?
Yeah.
So vitamin D is very important, and we really did practice protocol. So I'd like to say that I've been COVID free, but the girls are still quarantined, but maybe a few more days now.
Yeah, they tested negative on the antigen. So maybe by the end of the week, should be okay. Their symptoms are gone. So.
Yeah. So very important. What are our learnings here, son? Number one
If
is
you're exposed, like 3 to 5 days after, get tested. But days after your exposure, if you know that the friend you're with was positive, maybe quarantine yourself for like 3 to 5 days. Get yourself a PCR test, not an antigen, only because I found out that antigens only test positive if you have large amounts of COVID or something like that. But it's just because you test negative doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have COVID.
especially if you have some kind of symptom, di ba?
Yeah,
So
exactly. So try to get a PCR if you
we
can.
well, it's good that we ordered from your friend this antigen at home. Just that every time anybody feels anything, that's our first. Well, your first defense is really to mask up and social distance. I mean, I know over the holidays we all of us got relaxed, and we were, who knew that Omicron was going to be worse than Delta in terms of how contagious it is. So everybody was partying and really, really hopeful, and that's why nag-spread.
Yeah.
Sobra talaga nag-spread. Not just that girl in Poblacion, but everyone, come on, was doing it, right, son?
Yeah.
So your first line of defense is really, when we move, which we're going to right now, we're in the middle of moving. When we move to our temporary house, we are going to lock down. We are going to lock down. That means not receiving guests and not going out, unless we just need to grocery or something. But it's quick in and out. So that's your first line of defense, which is really just lock down, stay at home, and wear a mask, right? And get boosted. Guys,
If you can, yeah, if you can, please get boosted.
I'm sorry. I'm going to say it right now for the record. I know I have a lot of friends who are anti-vaxxers, but sorry. I know more people who died because they were not vaxxed over people who they claim may have died because of the vaccine. Seriously. And we are a walking testimony how safe we were able to traverse this challenge. So we're sharing not to be like condescending in any way, but to share with you our learning. So your first line of defense is really be careful, stay at home, get vaxxed, get boosted. And the second one is when you do get exposed to it, follow protocol.
Right away, like the moment you know. Like I was lucky enough to know the day of, so I called Dad before I went home, and then when I got home, I was already masked. I stayed away from Dad. I went straight to my room, and stayed there now for like the rest of the week.
Yeah, and that's what all his friends did, in
Yeah.
fairness to all of them. And that's why. But here's the tricky part, son. You want to share the thing about how Omicron works and like the timetable? Because if you don't get it right, you're going to think you're okay, and
Yeah.
then you're spreading it,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
If we didn't protocol then, like I was exposed to someone who tested positive Sunday, and I wasn't feeling anything all week. I took a test Friday, but during that whole week, like it was normal, right? So I was really tempted, like go down already and think it was nothing. But true enough, Friday I was asymptomatic. I still tested positive. So
That's what, 3 days after?
that's like 3 days. No, that's 5 days after. So whenever you are exposed to someone, don't get tested right away. Only because it will not reflect on your test. Maybe wait 3 to 5 days. That's what Harvard studies say, and that's like the best time to get tested.
Now,
But
what
when you know
happens?
you're exposed, like
Yeah,
quarantine already.
what happens? What do you do when you're positive? Then, say you're lucky because you're asymptomatic. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
say the way the girls, how did they conduct themselves? Just
Yeah, well, you're supposed to isolate, and it's really tricky now because some of the symptoms of COVID are kind of like the common cold. So when you're
Yeah.
feeling something already, I think the safest way to do it is try to get a test if you can, or start isolating already, because you can never really tell nowadays.
yeah. No, I mean like the girls and even my other friends were saying, must be the weather kasi malamig. Every time there's a change of weather, I get scratchy throat. No. That's why get an antigen test at home so that you can test at the first. I don't know. I mean, I'm a bit of a hypochondriac, but sometimes it pays off. Look, I'm the only free man standing here. So that sometimes hypochondria really works, right?
Yeah.
So I've been masked like super and spraying alcohol everywhere. So anyway, but I mean, we're hoping that this Omicron, because it's so catchy, will finally do herd immunity that everybody's hoping. No, Sam?
Well, I hope, like, I'm really blessed that it was asymptomatic, and I know a lot of people aren't as lucky. So
You're young, eh?
yeah, exactly. So I still hope people don't get it. I hope that you guys can get your vax. If you don't have access to antigen kits, I know because they sell it in bulk and it could be a little expensive. But they do have a lot of testing booths now. Like I went to a testing booth in BGC on 30th Street. It's called Save Point. You can book an appointment prior, and it's drive-through, so it's pretty safe. And for antigen tests, you can go to Surendra, just right in front of Fully Booked. I think it's 300 pesos for a test. You get your results after 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that we're just sharing our learnings. Again, there's no judgment in either way. I mean, everybody's trying to mitigate this as best as we can. Everybody cares for everybody. There's really no one way, but we're just sharing our own experience so that you can help. So stay safe, stay protected, and when you get it, relax. Get a lot of sun. Because vitamin D is very important. Zinc daw, di ba? Vitamin C really helped me. That's probably the reason why hindi ako natablan. Ano pa, son?
Hydrate. A lot of water.
Yeah, is that what you did up there?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mind you, his social life did not stop. Because I could hear him down here. I was always sunning myself and he was talking all day long to friends who were also quarantined.
Oh, because it's so crazy right now. It's in terms of how contagious it is. It's become like a cold. Everyone has it. I think there was like, we made a quarantine server on Discord, and there was like 10 of us there. So there are a lot of people getting it right now. So please be extra safe. take your vitamins.
Which means naman that your social life does not have to stop when you're trying to be safe.
No, the internet, the internet's there.
Right.
Yeah.
So peace, take care, God bless you. Psalm 91. That's my psalm. Psalm 91.